adjourn? I think we do. Would councillors would like to adjourn for a few moments while the live stream comes up running again? I'm not sure if we have to move a motion, but we will, just to be sure. Would someone like to move that we adjourn? Councillor Davey, Councillor Mitchell, all in favour? Aye, thank you. We've got a glitch in the live stream out there, so we'll just wait for that to come back on, and then we can capture all the questions in the live stream as well.
So,
Hello, Liz. How are you? Yeah. Okay. All right. Councillors, would we like to move that we're coming... Excuse me, councillors. Might have to use my hammer. We're live again now. Councillors, can we move a motion to reconvene? Councillor Patrick, Councillor Glover, second. All in favour? Thank you. Carried. Now, question time. Thank you for your presentation, which was very informative. Do councillors have any questions? Councillor Lindeman?
Sorry, I do, but I took the liberty of eating a lolly in between, so that wasn't a good idea. Thank you very much for your presentation. I love what Bailing Up do. I love that they gather together, and I love that they come up with their own ideas and make it happen. So that's really good. My questions are, I mean, you talked about how many young people. What's the age that you're looking to attract to this facility?
The playground, sorry, fourth stroke. The playground that's already there is for preschoolers up to grade 1. So children over that age group, up to teenagers, up to about... It would be nice to think that 14-year-olds would come and join us. That's what we're aiming for. Yeah.
May I ask a second question through the chair, please?
Thank you.
When she comes back.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Thank you, through the chair. I thought that might be the case. So I did a quick look at the census for the age sort of 5 through to 14. And last census, sorry, pardon me, it was 2021, you had 47 youth in the town.
Say that again?
In the census of 2021, and I...
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Yeah,
the data. Yeah.
I look at that age group and you've got 47 youth, okay?
Yeah.
So I guess with presentations I always like facts as well, because it's nice to say, for me, when the children are coming out and so on, but I like to know, so I had a look. Of course, I also understand that can change. So I guess with that number of youth, is that facility viable with that number of youth?
Well, it'd be viable for one child, let alone 47. And that data was done in 21. A lot's changed since then. And I think you'll find that there's 57 or 8 children in Bailing Up Primary School. And that's, you know, maybe there's 40 families involved in that. But then there's the homeschoolers. There's another 10 families. And then we have the outer areas, the farms and the you know, local smaller communities accessing that as well. And then not to mention the visitors. Sometimes our street is like Fremantle's main street. We've got so many people coming in, it's hard to find a car park, and most of them have got children. So we want to be able to attract people to the town. We want to have a place that's safe for the children, hence having that playground next to the other one so parents can be vigilant with their children. And it's close to the toilets. There's so many bonuses for it. But we need to do something for our children. It's really about their mental health, their physical health, and, you know, getting them to interact personally instead of over the computer.
Councillor Lindeman again? Yep.
Sure. My other question is, do you think it's the responsibility also of the parents to ensure that they're getting out?
Well, have you got children? Don't answer that.
These aren't the
Because if
questions
you-
for me though,
if you-
but sure.
If you have, and you try and get them off the computer, you have got World War III. And so to be able to have a brand new playground and be able to encourage the kids to come outside is where we want to go. It's such an addiction that these children find that they get their fun and pleasure from computer games or interacting. There's games where 4 or 5 kids will be playing one game together, and so that becomes a fun thing to do. And we would really like to balance that with outside activities as well.
Thank you. Councillor Mitchell.
I gather you realise that that land is leased by the Shire from
ARC, yes.
You're all over that.
Yeah,
and Tallison's all over
That's
that,
right.
etc.
This is why we need the council to help us with
Yeah.
what we can and can't do on that area. We don't want to build somewhere where we're going to have to move. We prefer to be able to work with the council so that we get it right the first time. So yeah, and then we don't know how many pieces of equipment are actually going to fit on that land. So we may not be talking about a huge amount of equipment.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Glover.
Yeah, Karen, thank you so much for your presentation and to come up here to deliver to us as well. And I like the idea that Baling Up are so self-sufficient in the way that they want to make things happen for their community. So thanks for being part of that. My question is just around the Tallison funding. So I think what you're saying is you've put in an application or you've spoken to them. How far has that process got? And how likely is that funding to be granted? Because it sounds like there's a couple of things that need to be done before you can do that.
There's lots to be done. This is just the beginning. Yeah, look, I have spoken to Rob Telford personally about the project before I put the application into the council and sort of gave him a heads up that, because he's living in Baling Up, so we bang into each other. And he was quite happy for me to put the proposal to him. So once I'd lodged it with the council, I contacted his office and they were happy for me to send the same proposal to him. And I wanted to do that before the end of the financial year, because if they are going to be giving money out for the coming year, I wanted us to be having a space in that allocation. So that's where we're at the moment. But until we actually get to be able to fine-tune exactly what we want to do and what we can do, there's no point in taking it any further. So we need, the next step is council approval and council planning to help us know what we're dealing with. That's okay.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors?
All good?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you say that there's a lot more to be done, what's the timeline that you're working to?
I would
Do you
love
have
it to be, wouldn't it be nice to be this year, at least to get it finalised by the end of the year so that we could start the project next year, start building. We have a quote from the company which lapses in 60 days. So each time that lapses, the price is going to go up, obviously. So, yeah, as soon as possible would be great.
But you actually don't have you got that stepped out at all? What the steps have had
This
to
is
be
the step.
undertaken?
I can't go any further without the council approving this and giving us a plan of what we can do next. But the company, Nature Play, are ready to go with the planning. And once we've got a plan of how we can fit the equipment, then we bring it back to council and get council approval. And then once we've fine-tuned that, then we'd be going to Taliesin saying, this is the project, this is what we can do.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
And thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, councillors, for your questions. We have a third presentation, or a second one, considering the first one wasn't here. David and Louis Turia. You're presenting in relation to the property in Gardner Road in Beelarup. Would you like to do your deputation?
Yes, thank you. Well, it's questions only, it seems, isn't it?
No, this is question
Well, there's
time.
one that I would like to ask.
Mr. Tuia, the presentation now is, the deputation now is to inform us of what the topic. So if you did have a, look, I'll take the question and I'll
Okay, well, the question is
record it
this.
as part of question time.
At the State Administrative Tribunal, Surveyor General from Landgate quoted, "Issues regarding all encroachment on Gardner Road are a matter between Donnybrook Shire and Mr Camione to be corrected. It's not to anyone else, it's up to the Shire and Mr Camione to be corrected where the roads are wrong." There's no doubt about what that comes from. And now, have you as a Shire been out there and looked at the problems as a committee?
And that's the question, which I'm going to have to take on notice. Is that all right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is it written down on that piece of paper?
Yes.
Okay, I'll come and grab that.
Number 3. Now, can I make a statement now, please, Madam Chairman?
You can, because it's for deputation. I have got those questions already.
Oh, yeah. The point I make is this, and I've known David all my life, but when he purchased that unit, that 6-acre block, he was guaranteed that everything was 100%, but it wasn't. Foolishly, he'd accepted it. The power was put on by Mr Camione illegally. He had to remove it. The yards are supposedly wrong. I, as a farmer, for 70 years, think it's the ideal place to have it. And any agent would tell you. It sticks out half a metre, but so what? And it's good for the lambing of the ewes in the wintertime, because it's covered. I won't say any more than that, Madam Chairman, but I'd like to think Council give consideration. It's been going on far too long, in my opinion, far too long. It should be solved one way or the other. And I think Mr Tuia he's very disappointed in the situation. It's been going on for 15 or 18 months now, and it should not go on for this. This little situation should not be presented as such a big task. I ask the Council to review it, go out and see it. Ms Dennis has given a summation. It's not quite correct for me. So I'd like you to please, as a council, look at it, make your decision. That's all I need to say.
All right. Before you go, though, can I just ask the councillors if they have any questions? Can I just
You're not
ask-
very loud. You're not very.
Sorry, I've got a microphone here. I'll lean.
That's it.
I'll just ask the councillors before you go if they have any questions.
Well, does council have any questions?
Councillor Glover?
Thank you for your presentation, Mr Tuia. My question is just, around the fact that what you're saying is the responsibility falls back on Mr Compagnoni. Has anybody spoken to Mr Compagnoni about this? Has it been rectified?
I think Ms Dennis may have done. I haven't. We haven't. No,
Okay.
I'm not involved.
Yep.
But this came from the Surveyor General.
Yeah.
And I've had an accident in my farm. I've been farming 70 years, had the same situation. They surveyed it with a drone and it was about 7 metres out. Not uncommon. Not uncommon.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Bailey?
Through the chair, Mr Tuia, you said that he was told when David bought the property that everything was 100% and everything was okay. Did that form a part of the offer and acceptance?
I don't know about it. It's been 10 years since the offer and acceptance was accepted, and Mr Tuia accepted the offer and acceptance. Hasn't been paid for completely, but as far as I'm aware, he doesn't own the property as yet.
Understood, Mr Tuia, but I'm saying, was that condition, nowadays those sort of things are covered in the conditions
Yes,
in general. 10 years ago, possibly, would David be able to make a copy of that offer and acceptance available to council?
Can you, Dave?
I can't. I'm having trouble hearing your question.
Oh,
The question Mr Bailey, did you want to go a bit louder with the microphone? Councillor Bailey was asking whether the offer and acceptance for the sale of the land was available for council.
Was available to council.
Can that be made available to
I'll
council?
give a copy of that through the settlement agent.
Okay, all right.
Mm.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I think John, he could. Yeah.
Any other questions, councillors? Mr Chuia, thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to be so.
Thank you. At item 6.4, delegates' reports, we have no reports. Which brings us to our adoptions by exception. And councillors, tonight we're looking to adopt on block the following items, which is 7.1.1, our ordinary council meeting minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of June 2025. At item 9.2, schedule of accounts paid as at the 30th of June 2025. And item 9.2.3, council policy EXE CP2, document execution and application of the common seal. And item 9.2.4, council policy EMCP6, caretaker provisions and local government elections. Would councillors like to move? Sorry.
I'm sorry, may I ask a question in regards to schedule of accounts paid? There was a couple of things I just wanted to query on that, and I haven't pulled it, but I have them here. Is that possible?
We can pull it out of en bloc.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so that leaves us with 7.1.1, 9.2.3 and 9.2.4. Councillor Davey.
Yeah, I just wanted to note the ordinary council meeting is one that we need to move as a true and accurate record, and I was absent for the meeting, so I'll be relying on the councillors given I need to vote on that item. Sorry, to clarify, a number of the minutes are received by council.
No, yeah, this one's...
The OCM requires us to validate that it was a true and accurate record. However, I was absent from the meeting, so I'll be relying on the account of the other councillors
Okay.
present.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I have to vote.
All right then. Yes, Mr Churia, watch out for that rain. Yep. You're welcome. Okay, councillors, would you like to move the en bloc? Councillor Glover first and Councillor Patrick seconded. All in favour? Carried. Moving on to item 8, reports of committees. At 8.1, we have the Warren Blackwood Alliance of Councils committee meeting held on the 3rd of June 2025. Councillors, I have to note that we pulled it from en bloc because we need to note that at item 7, I think it was, there was reference to all generic expenses will be allocated across the member councils, when in actual fact there's a number of steps there to apportion those between projects, the WBAC project, the tourism project, the climate change project and the trails project and the stock route project. So each of those projects receive an allocation of costs, and this particular one where we're talking about generic costs or operating costs, they get allocated across 3 of those projects. And then from that, the total of each of those projects is allocated is prorated according to population of each member shire. So we just have to get that corrected, and I needed to flag that for you.
I was just going to say, just to add to that, I believe, Shire President, you've raised that with the Warren Blackwood Alliance Executive Officer and the Chair to get that corrected as well.
That's right.
Yep.
So next meeting that should be edited. Okay, so with that in mind, would councillors like to move that the Warren Blackwood Alliance of Councils Committee meeting held on 3rd of June minutes be received? Councillor Davey, seconded Councillor Patrick. All in favour? Aye. Thank you. And it's carried. Moving on to reports of officers at 9.2.2, we have the statement of...
Did we pull 9.2.1 off from one block, which was...
Oh, yes, we pulled that off.
Councillor Lindemann.
Sorry, Councillor Lindemann. I made my notes earlier. Okay, 9.2.1, schedule of accounts paid. Do councillors have any questions?
Yes,
Councillor
please, if I
Lindemann.
may, to the chair. Thank you. There's a couple of ones, and that's the EFT 31039, Larry Edward Friend, 50% BlackBerry Control rebate of $644.23. Am I on the right thing? Everyone's looking puzzled.
And what was the description?
It was 31039, and it was Larry Edward Friend, 50% BlackBerry Control, $644. You
And I
got
think-
50% rebate.
CEO, I think we'll take that on.
I think we'll take it on notice, but I understand we received some funding, councillors, for some noxious weed control, being BlackBerry, specifically for BlackBerry control. The actual invoice or the details, reimburse 50% of invoice for BlackBerry. I'm not across that level of detail, so happy to take it on notice unless...
No problem.
And Councillor Davey?
I just wanted to note that there's several invoices through there in relation to that project, so you might have more.
Councillor Lindemann?
Yeah, next one. There's a couple, 31164 and 31068, and they are labour hire companies. You got 5,214 and you got 4,500. I'm just wondering whether we have now recruited for the positions that obviously we were using labour hire for, as they're reasonably expensive.
Thank you, Councillor Lindemann. Is that one we will need to take on notice?
We'll take that
Yeah.
one on notice.
Councillor Davey?
Seeing as this item's out of en bloc now, I have a question as well. I didn't write down the EFT number, but it was a more general question in relation to the landfill survey and whether there were any concerns that were raised with the rate of fuel or life of landfill from the survey that was undertaken and charged in the accounts.
Director of Operations, are you able to respond?
Through the chair, sorry, I'll have to take that on notice as well.
Cool.
Happy to take that on notice.
Councillor Lindemann?
I might as well go for broke, I guess. Just the last one was 1049, not a big thing, but the refund cancellation for the Donnybrook Transit Park, what sort of notice do they need to give? Is that is it 24-hour type of thing and then they get the refund, or do they just lose their money, or should they lose their money if it's after a 24-hour period or 48 hours? I'm not sure. I'm just asking.
14 days.
Okay. CEO?
Look, I might get Mr Clifford to respond to that, but look, there's standard terms of condition, but I'll get...
Yeah, so if notice is provided within or before 14 days prior to the booking, then they get a full refund, and there may be some amendments in the fees and charges coming up with regards to any other bookings further to that. So, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Would councillors like to move the executive recommendation that council receive the schedule of accounts paid as detailed in the report for the period ending 30th of June 2025? Councillor Davey and Councillor Mitchell, second. Would all in favour? That's carried. Moving on to my favourite reports. The Statement of Financial Activity Report for the period ending the 30th of June 2025. And I asked for this report to be pulled from en bloc because it compares our full year actual result against our 24-25 budget. And you might recall that the budget was built from the bottom up and identified 3% savings on prior year, which went towards reducing the gap in our long-term financial plan. Our actual result, which CEO Nick O'Connor will run through in a moment, not only met but exceeded the tight budget, And on behalf of Council, I'd like to acknowledge the sound financial stewardship by our executive team and the efforts of every department and member within the Shire, because they have all contributed to the successful outcome. We acknowledge also members of the finance team who worked to restructure the chart of accounts to provide greater visibility of financial information, which supported greater ownership of cost centres, and they have improved reporting timelines to the point where councillors are now seeing financial reports in the month following. So thank you I'm sure we all are very grateful for that. CEO, would you like to summarise the bottom line?
Yeah, look, thanks very much, Shire President. I'll draw Council's attention to, it's on my agenda, page 29 of 45, but under the section June 2025 Financial Analysis Summary. Mrs Hazeldean did provide a little bit of an overview, but I've got a bit more detail. So you can see there in the second paragraph, Shire surplus after imposition of rates was 1.664168.
Sorry, can we have the page up?
I've got it on page 29 of 45, Minute Secretary, under the section June 25, yeah. Yep, so that's obviously significantly higher than the mid-year budget review anticipated surplus of $125,000. It's important to note, you would see these in the notes to the year-end statements or the 30 June statements, that the large majority of that, being $1.275 million of the 1.5 additional surplus or positive variance, is made up of 50% prepayment of the financial assistance grant from the federal government. That is now common practice, which we've discussed on a number of occasions with councillors, and that because it's untied funding, it needs to be recognised in the year that it's received. However, there's still a delta of around $264,000 over and above the $125,000. So whilst I don't want to call it now, obviously these statements need to be fully audited and brought to account, so to speak, but the takeaway message is it is a very positive trend, and probably just building on your remarks, Shire President, acknowledge the community, the sound financial leadership of councillors, but also the executive and financial staff in containing expenditure, and that really prudent financial management over the last 12-month period. So congratulations to all. It's looking very positive.
Done. We all like a good news story. So now we can just, would councillors like to move item 9.2.2, executive recommendation that council receive the interim statement of financial activity report for the period ending the 30th of June 2025 as per attachment 9.2.21. Councillor Glover and Councillor Goobler, all in favour? Carried. Moving on to item 9.3, Chief Executive Officer, and 9.3.1, endorsement of the Shire of Donnybrook Baling Up organisational values. Just a moment, councillors. Okay. So 9.3.1, endorsement of Shire of Donnybrook Baling Up organisational values. I just wanted to just acknowledge the reason it was pulled off on block is because this is an area that's been a conscious effort of council since we stepped into recruiting for our CEO, and those who know me well understand that I have a strong commitment to values-based leadership. Being led by values and driven by performance means that an organisation's success is measured not just by what they achieve, but how they achieve it and how they behave while they're working along the way to their achievements. And the values presented to Council tonight were developed by team members across all departments, reflecting their shared aspiration to establish a collaborative, respectful and enjoyable workplace where everyone feels valued and empowered to contribute their best. They came up independently, without external consultancy or support or expense, with values of teamwork, respect, integrity, courage and fun. And each value in their statement is described in detail, with actions provided as examples of positive behaviours. Councillors were first introduced to the values during our strategic workshop in February, and by formally receiving them tonight, we are showing our strong support for embedding them into the way we work together as Shire, Council and community. And so we have an executive recommendation that Council endorses the new Shire of Donnybrook bailing up of organisational values as attached to this report. Would councillors like to move the recommendation? Councillor Lindeman, and seconded Councillor Patrick. All in favour? Oh, sorry. So keen and wrapped up in it. Councillor Lindeman, would you like to speak to your...
I sure would. Thank you.
My apologies. My apologies.
That's all right. It was nothing big, but I really appreciate this because I think, one, unifying and fun were the two key words that I took out of that, which really make a workplace. It's hard to pinpoint culture. It's really difficult, and why a workplace feels better than another. But people and their behaviour become what is demonstrated, led and accepted in a workplace. Good people can just make a great workplace. So I really support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lindeman. Councillor Patrick? Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? All in favour? Oh, sorry, right of reply. You got me now. All in favour? Carried. Okay, moving on to item 10. Elected member motions, of which previous notice has been given. And at 10.1, Councillor Grant Patrick has put forward item 10.1.1, application for baling upcycle submission for a community playground. Councillor Patrick, would you like to move your recommendation? And a seconder? Councillor Gubler? And councillors, I just want to bring to your attention at this point that we have two alternative motions on our... We're hopefully getting them up on the screens. And while they're coming up, just a refresher on alternative motions. Should the motion that Councillor Patrick has put forward fail, we have the alternative motions up there, and we'll proceed those first through with my motion, and then following on, if my motion fails, we have Councillor Mitchell's motion.
Why don't we put them both up at the same time?
Yes, put them both up, please, so that councillors can see they're both there and vote accordingly.
So essentially, yeah, councillors are foreshadowing those alternative motions, both of them. Yep. And Councillor Mitchell, I guess, probably just procedurally, just wanted to make sure you're comfortable with that, because you sent through a draft alternative motion, and I provided a response and some suggested amendments, and the version that's up. Yep.
Okay, keep talking. It's on the screen.
Yep.
Take your time to read it. It's fine.
May I ask a question?
Yes, while we're waiting, go ahead. Councillor Davey?
Have we determined that Councillor Mitchell's motion is an alternate and not an amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, take out point 2, thank you.
So that's, maybe if I just make a comment, it may well be
CEO?
worthwhile, Shire President, as yourself as the presiding member, now that there's been a substantial change to the proposed alternative motion from Councillor Mitchell, from that was distributed to me, whether it is actually an alternative motion or now whether it's just an amendment.
Okay, just a moment, councillors.
Yep. So that's actually the same as the motion before council, and it's only addition. Oh, it's the same vibe. Supports the application. Yep. Well, that's in principle, so that's really just an amendment. And the second one is just my advice to you, and it's your call, is that in its form that's up on the screen is it's just an amendment. You agree? Yeah.
Can I ask you, is that able to be done?
So number 2, again, this is all foreshadowed, but I don't want to debate, but it is able to be done. Council has various licence agreements with ARC for various parcels of land. Their tenure is different. I think I provided advice to councillors that the parcel of land upon which the playground is looking to be constructed is a 10-year agreement, a licence agreement with ARC, which is due to expire in 2027. The allowable activities under the current licence, it does actually expressly say a playground.
So it's a lawful?
It's lawful. I guess it just comes down to whether ARC would be prepared to bring forward the renewal of that. But we're boxing at shadows there, so I'm comfortable if that was passed, that would be a lawful motion.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor Davey.
The way that the current motion is worded, would that allow for different locations and tenure arrangements to be explored within the existing elected member recommendation? So at the moment, it doesn't specify exactly where in the motion. So should barriers come up with ARC lease renewal and those sorts of things, does the current wording of the recommendation allow for exploring alternate locations and tenure arrangements?
No.
Yeah.
Not my interpretation.
I guess it's based on the application, so it depends on I assume in the application from Baling Up Cycle it actually demonstrates. So what you're actually being asked to consider is supporting the application, which includes not only the playground equipment or the concept of putting a playground equipment in, plus all the other detail. And if my memory serves me correctly, it also identifies the parcel of land, which is where the current playground is located.
Okay, we're happy to proceed, councillors, or any more questions? Take your time, because I understand this information is really fresh. Councillor Davey?
I think I can't find any details on the tenure or the construction or anything like that.
Sorry, through you, Chair, in the Baling Up Cycle proposal or in my email to all councillors confirming the tenure? Based on a question from Councillor Mitchell.
In the attachments for the meeting, I thought that if we're approving a specific location or specific construction, that it would be an attachment to the meeting. That's why I thought that there would be flexibility around tenure and location.
So my apologies, Councillor. I thought as part of the agenda material there was an attachment that included. So my apologies. The advice I provided was based on my mistaken assumption there was an attachment of the actual proposal.
Councillor Patrick, can you provide some clarity on, because from the deputation it's clear that there's an area set in mind. Where was that put in the attachments? I seem to remember seeing it myself.
Yeah, I mean, I'll obviously speak to the motion, so we'll get to that bit, but my understanding is the intention is for it to be next to the existing playground, and part of that is around the ability for parents that have got, multi-age children to be able to supervise their children across the two play areas at the same time. That's the overall intention. I would suggest, and please correct me if I'm wrong,
No, well, let's keep that in discussion within this
Okay,
group.
yep.
No, we're just talking about the location.
So that the intention behind the application is to put it next to the existing playground on what is deemed as the village green in Baling Up there. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Lindemann, question?
My concern is the detail's not there. So what you're approving is if you were to approve
We'll
this...
save that one for debate.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Can I ask the possibility of amendment supporting the application in principle? Possibly? Don't know.
That would mean you're supporting the whole application in principle. Okay. CEO, are we in a position to move forward? I've just heard you.
Well, I guess the key to the question is, through you, Chair, is have councillors either through the agenda process or through another process, whether it be, have they been provided with a copy of the full application or the full proposal from Baling Up Cycle? My understanding was that councillors had been.
I've received the proposal.
Yeah.
With the diagram.
So is that, I'm looking for nods and shakes because that's probably a fairly important confirmation to be made. Because you're right, Councillor Davey, if indeed you have not seen that full proposal, then that may well be material to your decision making.
Yeah, sorry, to clarify, if that's okay, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Davey?
To clarify, even if there'd been something in emails, if the motion is around a specific location, I would anticipate that the specific location would be specified in either the report or the attachments. So we were linking the two. Sure. That's why I had that question around, can we support it in principle and the tenure and the location and the construction and those pieces come together later?
That's possibly captured in... The alternative recommendation that I put forward makes note of that to include it as a master plan for the... So that could be captured in that alternative motion.
So it's probably open. So we have a mover and a seconder of a motion, which is Councillor Patrick's elected member motion. If councillors don't believe that that's appropriate or there's a sufficient level of certainty, then I counsel you through the chair to move an amendment to provide that specificity, or indeed you would like to move something that actually is very similar to what Councillor Mitchell is proposing, saying, hey, in principle we like the idea of a new playground. The detail of the location and that can be sought out, or indeed if there's any barriers around the tenure, we're still comfortable for that to be brought back to council. So I invite councillors to consider that advice.
Thank you, CEO. We'll move forward. So would Councillor Patrick like to speak to his motion?
Yes, thank you. So look, as per the report, I'd like to thank Karen for the work that's been done in relation to this. So the proposal, as it stands, is for council to support the application from Baling Up Cycle to put forward the proposal to Taliesin to request funding to build a playground. Now, the playground itself, for those that know Baling Up, the existing location of the playground on the village green, it's an old dilapidated playground, and as outlined by Karen, it's targeted for very, very small children. As a parent of a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old myself, there is nothing within Baling Up apart from the school playground, which is essentially trespassing, for children to do. I acknowledge there are a couple of small risks in relation to this. However, I believe those risks are extremely minimal. So one of them, as discussed, is the lease with ARC. Given that the Shire already has infrastructure, being a playground, a footpath, a toilet block, an exercise park and a tennis half court on that same stretch of land, the Shire would be requesting, I would assume, the request to renew that lease regardless of this going ahead or not, of the licence. So I think that the risk around the ARC infrastructure lease is extremely minimal. I acknowledge that we are at a time that we're looking at reviewing assets and trying to reduce assets, and there is public opinion around there around what we should or shouldn't be doing with assets. So I acknowledge the risk that we are proposing a new, I'll say facility or an extension of existing facility, which would increase the Shire's asset register. However, it's again, the expectation of the maintenance costs and increase in insurance of the particular thing is really quite minimal. There's no initial outlay in that space because that's what the proposal is for, is to cover that initial outlay. So the costs and the risks and the exposure to the Shire and to the council, in my opinion, is extremely small in that regard. I acknowledge that has been discussion around a proposed recreation master plan for Baling Up, given that it's got quite a lot of recreation activities. However, again, I believe that if a playground was to be incorporated into that, the only logical place that it would be is where it's being proposed on that village green. We've got ovals and a rec centre, but it's across a highway which is probably one of the hardest sections of highway to cross of any town in the southwest, from Bridgetown all the way through. There's no pedestrian crossing access. It's very difficult to cross, especially if you have young children. And the oval is quite a way out of town. Acknowledging what Councillor Lindeman said about the population, I know that census data is 2021 and I know the population has increased since that time, but we also acknowledge that on a Saturday morning when we've got the Blackwood United soccer clubs, we've got at least 150 kids coming through there at any one time. They stop at the corner store, they stop at the bakery, they stop at Mr Foster's. There's cars lined up that street, off the main highway, people using the bathrooms, the toilets, and the playground is in the perfect location to be able to support those people coming through. And that's not to mention the general tourists that come through, stop, park, and enjoy the rest of the facilities, including, the public toilet block, which is a Shire-based facility, and we encourage people to go to that location to use the bathrooms. So it's a very logical location for it. So acknowledge the proposal for the Recreation Master Plan, and I think that's very important to do, and I look forward to that occurring. However, given the timeliness of this, the prospect of the funding coming forward and the minimal risk to the council, to the Shire, and the ratepayers, I encourage councillors to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patrick. Councillor Gubler, would you like to speak to your...
Yeah, I'd just like to support the proposal. I think it's important for the children of Baling Up and also the passing tourists that pass through the town as well, and there's also, at this stage there's playground equipment there, it's only expanding on what's there, so, and I think the ARC thing will just fall in place because of the existing equipment that's already there, so they're not going to get rid of that, so I think they need to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Gubler. Would anyone like to speak against the motion?
Could I ask a question, please?
Yes, Councillor Lindeman.
Has there been any consultation overall with Baling Up in regards to the proposed playground?
Has there been any consultation with whom? Sorry?
Any consultation with the community of Baling Up? So we normally do a consultation for consideration. Has there been any consultation with the community of Baling Up to know where they want to head?
Councillor Patrick, would you like to reply to the specific question? It's always hard when it's an elected member.
As best I can, I'm aware that consultation or discussion or requests for support have come from a number of organisational groups, which is the CWA. There's a letter of support there from the Baling Up Progress Association, which is a well-represented group within the town. Did I say the CWA? Tidy Towns. And then obviously the consultation with the school and the children of the school who are, the biggest consumer of this proposal. Thanks.
Thank you. And speakers against, Councillor Mitchell.
Can I just ask a question, if I may?
Yes.
Adding the word "in principle" if the mover of the motion accepted it, is that too far of a stretch just to add it in, or does it need to be an amendment?
It needs to be an amendment. Oh, just a moment. There's a bit of chatter here.
No, I was just going to say, well, normally if it's with the agreement of the mover and the seconder, that's fine. It doesn't need to be a formal amendment if it's only a minor change.
All right. I'll take back what I said. If it's in agreement with the mover and the seconder, adding in principle would be an acceptable change. Are you in agreement with that change?
So just to clarify, that's on the original recommendation, we're saying in principle supports the application. That's, yeah, I mean, essentially that's all we're doing anyway, is we are in principle supporting the application. So yes, I am happy to accept that because that's what we're proposing.
And Peter,
Yeah,
Councillor
I accept that
Okay.
change.
So we're now looking at the recommendation being, we'll give time for that to get popped up there. Okay. Now we'll go back to question or question. Thank you.
My question is just, I guess it's around process. Whilst us as councillors have all received the email that's been provided by Karen with all of the information, I just feel that we're missing it by not having all that information in the attachments as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we need to make an amendment for this, but is it possible for this to actually be in the attachments? Because as a member of the community, they aren't privy to our emails, and it's good information for everyone to see for transparency.
It can be distributed as part of the minutes, that's fine. We can load it up. No, so just so clear, you're not suggesting to pull the item, but maybe one option could be, Councillor Glover, through you, Chair, is that we add the proposal as an attachment to the minutes. Would you be comfortable with that as an option?
That's exactly what I'm asking for, just for some transparency, so we can actually be, if any members of the community want to review the minutes, they can actually look at the proposal as well.
Good idea. Councillor, is question or?
Yeah, question. Can I ask if you're having a playground and you've got a master plan, how would this affect the master plan moving forward for the other, I suppose, the other items that may be in there? Is this going to be affecting it, is my question.
I will allow you to answer that because otherwise I'm arguing.
So look, don't want to step into the debate, but I guess, Councillor, without wanting to sound evasive, I think we don't know what we don't know at this stage. So instead of, I guess, it being, from a master planning perspective, you would go out and consult the whole of the community and look at it from a macro perspective, and no doubt, or the playground may come up as a priority if indeed this matter is delayed. Then the corollary of that statement is, though, if it does go ahead prior to that master planning, it would just get noted that that is a community asset which is existing or currently in process. So that would be part of the broader, this is what we've got at the moment, as opposed to this is what we're aspiring to as a community.
Question? Councillor Davey.
What would be an anticipated timeline for development and finalisation of a Baling Up Recreation Master Plan?
So
CEO,
through
would you
you,
like to
Chair,
respond?
thank you for your question, Councillor Davey. So as all councillors would be aware, as part of the draft budget, there is a notional allocation for the current financial year, and through discussions with Mr Marshall, we're looking at having it delivered by 30th of June 2026. Now that may be earlier, maybe it all depends on workflows and councillors' priorities, but that's certainly the intention from staff, and that's why it was included.
Can I also ask you, with the work to do with the ARC infrastructure, how long does that work? I guess, what's the lead time for the work as it's proposed here? what's the lead time? If we were to accept Councillor Patrick's recommendation, what would be the lead time in order to understand all those ARC restrictions and other things?
Look, I think I've provided councillors with some advice. So not only that the tenure is current with the current licence, it expires in 2027. However, it is an express permitted use under the current licence agreement that playgrounds are consistent. Therefore, it would, I believe, be like an administrative process to get that written approval from ARC, should this matter go ahead. Saying that, I can't prejudge whether ARC would give the approval, because as part of the licence we need to run everything past them. But it is consistent and foreshadowed expressly in the agreement, in the licence agreement. How long would it take to go through the process? How long's a piece of string? Okay. We do have a good relationship at the moment with ARC, so I can't commit to a time frame, but I don't think it would hold up the process unduly.
Okay, I have a final question for me. Did you want to go, Councillor? Yep. Can you explain to me and for councillors what is the current process for Taliesin funding for assets?
So my understanding is obviously they have their community improvement program. That's advertised to not only to council but to community groups, and obviously Baling Up Cycle is one of those community groups that has expressed their interest. That if indeed that the project proponent does not have tenure over a parcel of land, then whoever has that tenure, the permission is normally sought, or in principle approval is normally sought. So I assume, without making too many assumptions, that is part of the reason why this matter is being brought forward to council tonight, is to tick that box. That obviously council will not only has the licence, so therefore the control over the land, but also that council will be the owners of the asset. And whilst there is a commitment for maintenance for a 3-year period, but the long-term maintenance and asset renewal will become council's responsibility.
Thank you. Councillor Lindeman, do you have another question? All right. So we were coming to... Sorry?
Oh, I was going to say I'm ready to speak.
To speak against
the motion.
Thank you,
and this is really difficult, because every reason and every part of me says, yep, they should have a playground. I'd also like to highlight that whether you have children or not doesn't mean that you can't make good decisions. No one is ignorant of the trouble that children are having today and young people are having today, from social media, from inactivity, from gaming, from self-esteem, acutely aware of mental health issues. I participate in a lot of different things in regards to mountain bike course for women at $20 sponsored by the government. There's many things. I saw 2 young women there and that was it. So I feel like the emphasis has to come back onto parenting and not on playgrounds. And it's really difficult, but it is about looking outside of your area for all the things that you can do. I would like to see that master plan incorporate the whole community about where they see they're directing their youth and their people. And that could be the skate park, it could be a pump track, it could be funding for rides out on the Mundabiddi Trail every weekend, or a fitness camp, or a camping thing. I don't know, but I see 1,000 things you can do, and I don't believe that necessarily more infrastructure is always the answer, especially when you've got a massive thing up the road. But I love Baling Up, I love what they do, I love that they come together. I think they can do something within this. I do believe we're going to have to come back to the whole community and a master plan. So I can't, because I know we're doing this asset rationalisation. We are thinking about everything we're putting out, and then suddenly we're going, it's okay for them to have another item, and we haven't even budgeted for this item to be looking after it, but we're going to take something from someone else or sell off this item here. It looks irrational and inconsistent. So I can't back this at this point. but it doesn't mean to say I don't want it.
Thank you, Councillor Lindemann. Would anyone like to speak for the motion? Councillor Mitchell?
Yes, I'll please speak for, if I may. You've all heard a lot about in principle. In this case, it's a really good idea because in principle means that you can go forward with and wrap around the next stage and ensure that all the things that are important are in place. If you say support, then if there's anything untoward, it becomes a problem. I have no concern. I do believe we need to keep up putting in some new assets into the community. I don't believe for 1 minute we need to replace and have money in the bank to replace every single asset. I think, and I now know, that we can actually identify assets that we aren't going to continue. And yeah, I've had some further advice since this email. And yeah, I do acknowledge, Mr O'Connor, that I got home very late last night and I'm too old to concentrate anything after about 7 o'clock at night. Went straight into work this morning, and my emails were on a different view, so I didn't pick up all the new ones. So I absolutely acknowledge that there is an email there. However, in principle is good. We acknowledge that at this stage we're looking at it, we need to put it on the assets. Sure, that's fine, but I do really, having written many, many grants over a lifetime, one of the key questions is, do you have extended tenure of the land? If I was Taliesin, hey, that's a question I'd be asking, but as you say, we've got tenure of the land and the area near it, but I would be strongly looking at and considering there's some changes at foot, very likely to be some changes at foot around ARC and their tenure. There's something in the state budget about it, so therefore I would encourage that we go ahead. And I'm sorry my hearing was a bit bad and I didn't quite hear every word you said clearly, Mr O'Connor, when you were speaking, but it's all good, go, go, go. Anyone that had been around for any length of time will actually, the Apple Fun Park, there was a donation, the community got behind it, it was done, and I actually think, off the top of my head, it was 6 to 9 months from when the first donation was made to when it was operational. Things can move quickly in local government, so I encourage you, this is money that, if it happens, it'll be great. Get on and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitchell. Would anyone else like to speak against the motion? For? Councillor Bailey?
Through the chair, councillors, this to me is very, very simple. We like to say that bailing up, come together and get things done. Well, this is a classic example. And I've worked on master plans for bailing up for 25 years. Most things don't happen. Most things that do happen aren't on the master plan. So we don't want to be putting chocks under people's wheels when they're trying to get things done. If this turns out to be a lot of cost in 4 or 5 years, we'll pull it out, throw it away. So we don't have to keep it going forever. But I'd urge you to support this motion. It's something bailing up needs badly.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion for or against? Councillor Davey?
I'd like to speak for the motion. So I love that it's nature-based, that it's more age-inclusive and that it's being driven by the community. I think it's fantastic. It's co-located with the existing toilet facilities to increase utilisation of that existing asset. I do have some reservations about jumping the gun on the master plan, but I see an imbalance of play facilities between Donnybrook and our other towns. So when we're talking about potentially removing a pocket park here and expanding a park down there, I don't see that as a conflict as far as our asset rationalisation process is concerned. And Bailing Up Cycle have put in so much effort today, including the letters of support they've collated from the community, that I'd like to make sure that I'm supporting their momentum in this initiative, even if the design and planning phase is the next step. I like the in principle addition so we can iron out those issues as we go. Waiting for the master plan. I know the timeline at the moment is 12 months, but things like bridges burning down and other things pop up. So while there's momentum on this, I'd like to keep going.
Thank you, Councillor Davey. Anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Glover?
Yeah, I'm speaking for this motion as well. I agree, in principle, is a good idea as well. There's a lot of momentum happening. There's no current cost at this point to ratepayers or the Shire of Donnybrook bailing up. There, may be some in the future as well, but I do agree with Councillor Davey. We need to be more equitable in where our assets are going, and I feel that at this point, bailing up need to have some more infrastructure down there, more things to do for young people, attract young families to that town as well. And yes, as well, I'd like to acknowledge the idea of the master plan, and I'm such a planner. I love everything to be in a plan, but I think that with the momentum that we have now, this is an opportunity that we may miss if we don't support it in principle now.
Thank you, Councillor Glover. I would like to speak to the motion as well. I'm speaking against this particular motion, but all for the playground and the infrastructure being established in Balingup. But given our current move toward being more planful and more careful with how we invest in capital, I'm keen to see all this work incorporated into a master plan of Balingup. And I was trying with my questions around timeline to see how that would impact the timeline and delivery of this project. And rough estimate, I think we're looking at an additional 6 months if we take the time to assess the full recreational need for Balingup, the full need, so that we have a complete master plan and we're being planful in our approach. For the sake of maybe 6 months, I'm not sure that I would hate to see us take 2 steps forward and then have to reverse those steps. And I'm not in favour of pulling the assets out in a few years. I think that we are trying very, very hard to look at our asset management, and here we are stepping into a quick response. And I don't think the funding will go away, the funding offer from Taliesin. It's a constant for them. I'm also mindful of competing interests. I've been sitting in on meetings for the Yabberup community who want infrastructure for their youth, and they want to develop the oval in their area, and that again is going to cost money. So a master plan for Yabberup is also required. So we've got 2 competing interests there. And then there is demand on our existing playground areas that we're experiencing through community feedback at the moment. So is it better to be mindful of the whole Shire of Balingup and Donnybrook needs, or do we take this sudden decision and put a playground in if we wait for another 6 months perhaps around project delivery time, we have a considered and planful approach. Thank you. And is anyone else speaking to the motion? No. Councillor Bailey, you've had your...
Question.
A question? Yep.
So we're talking about a master plan and the time frame is 6 months. I've never seen a master plan done in 6 months. What sort of cost factor are we looking for a master plan?
What sort of... Sorry? The last part?
What sort of a cost are we looking to get a master plan drawn up?
CEO?
On an area
Yep.
that's very, very limited
Let's answer the
on
question.
where things can be moved.
Let's answer the question.
I have.
The timeline for a master plan?
Yeah, so I think there was 2 elements just to confirm. The timeline's not 6 months. The timeline would be 12 months. So completing it
But
by
the additional-
30th of June. 30th of June next year would be the planned timing to deliver that, based on community consultation and getting external resources to assist with that. I believe, Mr Marshall, we're looking at about $40,000 is the notional allocation in the draft budget for 25-26.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking to the motion? All right, councillors, we put that to vote. All those in... Sorry, right of reply. It's the be-all and end-all, isn't it? Sorry, Councillor Patrick, would you like your right of reply?
Thank you. And thank you to the councillors for their, thoughtful comments. So in summary for this, I mean, most of you know I'm an extremely active person and my kids are as well. It would be very nice to not have to get in my car and drive to Bridgetown or to drive to Greenbushes or potentially Donnybrook, but most of Balingup residents will go to the Greenbushes pump track, the Greenbushes playground, the Bridgetown playgrounds. I'd love to keep our community members, as well as the tourists, stopping in Bailing Up rather than having to go to other people's towns to get our kids out and active, and without having to load up 4 bikes on a bike rack on a car and that kind of thing. Again, I do acknowledge the risk for the community perception around the assets and the fact that there have been competing demands. Ultimately, this is, in the initial stages, very, very low risk financially to the council, to the Shire, to the ratepayer. If the funding gets up through Taliesin, that's where the funding's coming from. The application's for a further 3 years' worth of maintenance, and then thankfully to the masterful management of our senior executives and administration staff, we're getting to the point where our asset reserves are going to be at a point where we can manage those very small costs of maintenance on these kind of playgrounds. So thank you, and I really encourage you to vote in favour of the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patrick. Now we'll put that to vote. All those in favour? And all those against?
Councillors Lindeman and McCarthy.
Thank you, councillors. It's very well debated and very well assessed. Yes, it's carried. Sorry, carried? Okay, at item 11, there's no new business of an urgent nature. And item 12, we come to the point where we will move a motion to close the meeting to the public, and that is for items 12.1, matters for which the meeting may be closed, 12.1.1, RFT 052425, wet plant hire and minor civil work services, and item 12.1.2, RFT 132425, Bailing Up Bowling Green surface replacement. So, councillors, can you please move that the meeting be closed in accordance with section 5.23C of the Local Government Act 1995? Thank you. Councillor Glover, seconded Councillor Davey. All in favour? Carried. Into our live stream. The meeting has been reopened at 6:36 p.m. for reading of the confidential resolutions. Item 12.1.1, RFT 052425 wet plant hire and minor civil works. Was moved that Council requests the Chief Executive Officer to award the panel contract for RFT 052425 wet paint and minor civil works to each of those? To A. Carboni Brothers Proprietary Limited, B. Cardinal Contractors Proprietary Limited,
It's gone. That's gone.
I've got it here.
That's all right. Yep, it's back.
Okay. C. DBCEC WA Proprietary Limited. D. Fulton Hogan Industries Proprietary Limited. E. Geograph Civil Proprietary Limited. F. Picton Civil Proprietary Limited. G. WA Concrete Proprietary Limited. And 2. Endorses the awarding of the contracts for the wet plant hire panel based on their submitted rates and it being for a period of 3 years. 3. Endorses the awarding of the contracts for minor civil work, drainage panel based on their submitted rates and it being for a period of 3 years to DBCEC WA Proprietary Limited and Carboni Brothers Proprietary Limited. And 4, endorses that no contracts be awarded in the remaining minor civil work categories under the RFT process and that the Shire notify tenderers of this outcome. And 12.1.2, RFT 132425, Bailing Up Bowling Green Surface Replacement. It was moved and approved that Council receives the attached confirmation and agreement from the Bailing Up Bowling and Croquet Club that includes acknowledgement that additional funds are available for any latent condition costs that are not reimbursable by the insurer. And 2, requests the Chief Executive Officer to invoice and confirm receipt of $34,990 plus GST, if applicable, from the Bailing Up Bowling and Croquet Club. And 3, conditional to points 1 and 2, award the tender for the Bailing Up Bowling green surface replacement to Evergreen Synthetic Turf for the submitted offer price, including upgraded surface and replacement of the apron surface. And 4, provide an update for the community and stakeholders of the successful award. That brings us to item 13, closure. The presiding member advises, or that's me, I can advise that the next agenda briefing session will be held on the 20th of August 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Shire of Donnybrook Bailing Up Council Chamber. And we declare the meeting closed at 6:39 p.m. Thank you.